Hey friends, welcome to Lead Your Life. I'm Debbie Heiser, and around here, we're about building businesses and lives that are lit up from the inside out. I believe we're all here for a reason, and your business isn't just a way to earn a living, it's a vehicle to bring your vision to life. But what happens when you feel like you've lost clarity, when you've hit a wall, or you keep circling the same challenge, even though you've done so much work? That's where today's episode comes in. We're going to explore two of the most powerful spiritual laws that directly impact your life and your business: the law of polarity and the law of non-resistance. I'll guide you through how to work with these energies instead of unknowingly fighting against them or resisting. Do you see what we did there? And I'll give you practical ways to move forward with clarity and confidence. So let's dive in. Welcome to Lead Your Life, the podcast for people who are seeking harmony in business and in life. My name is Debbie Heiser, and I'm an inner mastery and business mindset coach and the chief igniter here at The Lit Up Life. I feel an urgency to help people let go of past messaging so that they can make a lot of money doing what they love without sacrificing what they value most. Welcome. We're glad you're here.
Straight from the corners of my mind is where I find my sanity.
Hey there, folks. Debbie Heiser here with Lead Your Life with Debbie Heiser. And for those of you that don't know me, I help entrepreneurs make a lot of money doing what they love to do without sacrificing what's important to them. I feel like our work, so I also work with business people, but I feel like our work should be a conduit to the life that we want to lead. So before we get into today's episode, I want to let you know about something really special coming up. And if you're someone that's craving clarity, if you're ready to break free from the patterns that are keeping you circling in confusion or doubt, then I want to personally invite you to the Cast Your Vision retreat that's happening October 23rd through the 26th in Sandpoint, Idaho, where I live. And this retreat is really designed to help you get super clear on how to live your lit up life, both in business and in your deepest sense of purpose. So you can visit my website at leadyourlituplife.com or thelituplife.com, /retreat, or just reach out to me directly. We'll talk more about it at the end of the episode, but keep that in mind as you listen in today. These are the types of things that we'll talk about. So let's begin. We're going to talk about universal law today, and I love talking about universal law. We're going to do two laws today. We're going to start with the law of polarity. And really what happens is this law states that everything has two poles, has two sides, and those opposite sides exist at the same time. Now, this doesn't mean the same old that you hear, that you have to go through pain to experience joy, you have to fail to have success. That's not what I'm here to preach today. What it means is that possibility and limitation exist side by side. Solution and problems are partners. And when we shift our attention, when we focus where we want to focus, we then can access the side that serves us. Now, it's okay to have a problem. And again, sometimes the semantics of words, problems really are circumstances. We either like the circumstances or we don't like them, and then we call it a problem. But these circumstances that we have, or the problem, there is a solution to that. And when that happens and you know that there's a solution, you trust that these universal laws are true, then you can go into it with a lot more ease. Now, even biblically, it says, ask and it shall be given you, seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be open unto you. So it's out there. We just have to find it, and not even find it, but be open to it. So let's talk about what this really means. Let's say you're feeling confusion around the next steps in your business. Or the next step of, do I open a business? Do I stay in my W-2 job? Whatever that is, polarity tells us that clarity and confusion are on the same pole. So clarity is available, and it's available right now, not after 6 more months of journaling, not after one more course. It's here in the same energetic space, confusion and clarity. What matters is your awareness. So polarity invites us to ask some questions, and those questions are, what's the other side of this? So if I'm in confusion, what might be on the other side? What might be something that really I'm having some niggles about that add clarity to what I'm doing? What might I not be seeing yet? Maybe I'm in the circumstances that I don't love. And so I feel a little like in the problem. Then asking the question, what might I not be seeing? And then also, how might this challenge be carrying the seed of a solution? If I know that there's a solution to every problem or challenge, then how can I look at this? I was talking to a client earlier today, and I'm recording this in early July after the flooding in North Carolina and Texas, and I happen to have clients that were on the same call, one from North Carolina and one from Texas, and we were talking about how one of them is in the entertainment business and was talking about some things that had occurred this weekend. She wasn't in the direct line of some of the terrible, terrible flooding that happened, the flash flooding, but how here are people that are spending money on really exclusive locations and they had leaking and the rain and, these types of things. And she looked at this more as a challenge to say, okay, and as we even talked, what might be some things I need to learn from this? What's the lessons that I can then take forward that if some other type of an emergency happens, and I mentioned too, right? Like there was a fire across the street from my house a few years ago, and had the wind just been right or whatever, my house would have been up in flames. And so at that point in time, because I live in North Idaho, we deal with forest fires. And so I have a box that has my family Bible in it from like 2 or 3 generations. It has photos in it that I don't ever want to lose, some videos, those types of things, so that if I'm traveling, which you all know I do quite a bit, that people know where to go in my house and find that box. And so if we had to evacuate, they would go get that box for me. So in this case, where there was a challenge, what might be a solution or what might be something that I can learn from this to better serve myself or better serve clients? So, when we think about polarity and resistance live really closely together. And so I really want to talk about a situation that just happened to me today. And again, this is July 8th when I'm recording this for late July. And I took some inspired action. Now, I've been feeling a shift coming and I've been resisting. And the resistance happens because we forget the polarity, right? That there is a desire or a problem and we have a solution. And so I've been feeling this shift coming, and the resistance has been because the polarity of I can stay here or move forward. And so I've been doing everything to distract myself. I had a goal this year to read some fiction books because I typically read nonfiction. So I've been reading the heck out of these series and almost to the point of like obsessing about them. And, I justify really well by saying, oh, I wanted to read 4 fiction books this year. I think I've read about 7 or 8 already just in the last few months, to doing busy work. And the sure tell sign for me was that I used to rearrange furniture, but my house now has the furniture in my office does where it's supposed to go, and there really aren't any other options to moving the furniture. So then I go to organizing my planner. So what do? I buy a new planner and I reorganize myself. I just did this. I just bought these new Laurel Denise, which I love them, by the way, planners, and actually became an affiliate because I love them so much. So see, the resistance shows up really slyly. And so what it was about is that I've been tossing around a decision around applying to do a VIP day with a coach that I've been following for a little while. And I've been resisting applying. What if she doesn't accept me? What if I make it and then I have to pay the $11,000 to go have this VIP day, and then I'm going to have travel expenses? See all the like noise that comes into your head, right? So today I made the decision. I applied. Now, we'll see what happens, but this is an example that it's all here. It just depends on whether I want to have driven action or inspired action. Law of cause and effect. We're always in effect, or we're always in cause. It just depends on what effect we want. So this resistance plays out in the polarity that I can make the decision or stay in chaos. Chaos or clarity, together the same, right? The polarity also is I could stay in indecision or make the decision to move forward. This is the power of the universal law of polarity. And it doesn't say that you're broken or that things need fixing. It simply asks you to notice, where is my energy going? So let's get a little bit more tangible on this. So a challenge might be you're feeling stuck in your business or you're feeling stuck in your W-2 job. And really the polarity says movement is possible. You just have to start with one small step. Doubting your impact that you have on people. Well, then it's about looking at a time you did change someone's life or you did have impact on someone. You're unclear about what you're going to provide. Well, clarity is available. What are you resisting? What are you resisting exploring? So the law of polarity reminds you you're never trapped. There's always another option. There's always another energy, and you get to choose. So before we go into the law of non-resistance and bring this home, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. I want to give a quick shout out to my favorite online community for women entrepreneurs. It's called Build Her. If you've craved a space to connect with other women who truly get the journey, this is your space. We go live monthly for in-depth training on all things business, and it's where you'll get the latest news from the Lit Up Life first. Plus a chance to swap stories, tips, and triumphs with an amazing community of women. It's welcoming, it's fun, and it's where we cheer each other on through every up and down of entrepreneurship. Join us and let's build each other up. Check it out at thelituplife.com/buildher. Okay, welcome back. We were talking about the law of polarity and how it helps you realize you're never trapped. You always have choice. And so now let's talk about the powerful partner, and they tend to kind of come in tandem with each other, is this law of non-resistance. And this one is really near and dear to my heart because we as humans, and especially those of us that are higher achievers, we're trained to push, to hustle, to strive, to fix and to control. But here's the truth. Order is heaven's first law. And all you have to do is look at nature to see this. And when you feel in chaos, when you resist what's unfolding, you step out of harmony with the very order that's trying to support you. When you resist the universe or God stepping in harmony to support you, you don't get supported and you stay in chaos. So the law of non-resistance is really an invitation. It's an invitation to receive. It's an invitation to trust, to allow, to surrender, not in passivity, but in alignment. And so part of that is understanding who you are so you can be in alignment. So let me ask this. You've probably felt some of this before. That moment when you finally let go of a plan and something even better falls into place. When you stop obsessing over the how and the next right step appears. I always say faith is when you take a step and you don't have to know step 100 or even step number 2. You take the first step and the next step appears. The problem is we have learned to not trust ourselves. And so when we finally let go of this plan, something better falls into place, we tend to resist that as well. I was just listening to something earlier that someone had sent me about paying off some debt and how they had in their mind how it should go. And they were being given this gift. And what I mean, gift is a solution that came forward. And there were 2 solutions, one that would get rid of the debt right now, and the other one that would just consolidate the debt. And it wasn't going, they were obsessing about the how, and it wasn't going the way that they thought it should go. So they were having a hard time accepting or receiving this, right? So part of that turns into control. So when we stop trying to control every piece of our business or our lives, your creativity returns. Then we're able to see the other side of the pole and have solutions. What happens is when we try to control and hang on to it so much, we don't see the realm of possibility. So earlier I told you a story about polarity and how I was resisting this up leveling and realizing that I didn't need to resist, right? We all, I mean, even though I teach this stuff, I'm still faced with it day to day. So I want you to remember that the law of resistance doesn't mean that you don't act. It means you take inspired action, action that flows instead of fights, right? Resistance has a rub to it. I always think about that Pace Picante commercial where he says something about it's got a burr under my saddle, right? That's what it feels like. So, how can you start working with this law? First of all, notice where you're pushing. You've heard me before talk about the push and the pull. When you feel pulled to do something, that's an order. That's like nature, right? Pulling you forward. So, think about where do you feel tight or frustrated or like it should be working? Because then I always ask according to whom. Then that shows you're resisting. Start to notice, do you have some trends that you tend to do? Like I talked about the reading, I talked about the reorganizing my schedule, all of those kinds of things. Do you have an MO that you go to? And then ask yourself, what would it look like to let go of needing to control this outcome? Like, really seriously, what would it look like? And what am I going to lose if I let go of control? And better yet, what am I going to gain? Because every time, in Al Anon, they used to say everything I let go of had claw marks on it. And every time I let go of something, it turned out better than I could have even possibly imagined. And third, lean into trust. Try on the idea that the universe is for you, that things are unfolding for you, not against you. Now, sometimes we're in the thick of something and it feels like everything is against us. That's when you have to take a look at the polarity and say, I have a choice here. I can either look at how is this for me? How is this against me? Now, don't get me wrong. I would give anything to have my mom back here on this earth. However, after she passed away, the service sorority that she was a part of, I can't remember how many years they did this, maybe 5 years, they did a walk in her name and raised funds and gave away scholarships. So education was very important to her. So now, would I much rather have her here? Absolutely. But I look at this and think, you know what? Every everything has a ripple effect, and it's not against me because my mom passed away. Things are unfolding and it's helping other people, and there are things that I learned from my mom that now I'm doing. And so she's still alive and with us because of the way I act and my two sisters and my son and all of those things, right? So try on this idea that things are unfolding for you and not against you, even if the packaging looks unfamiliar. Because Napoleon Hill, not Napoleon Dynamite, but Napoleon Hill says, when opportunity came, it appeared in a different form and from a different direction than he or she had expected. So be open. I find so many times that most of the clients I work with don't know how to receive. I didn't know how to receive. I still sometimes don't. So when you think about how opportunities come to you, but they usually appear in a different form and from a different direction than what you expect, then you get the fact that that's the dance of life, right? And resistance is often the very thing that's blocking the support that we're asking for. I can't tell you how many times I hear people, I do the same thing, where we want support on something, it comes. It's that whole story about the person that passed away and they're at the pearly gates and they're like, God, why didn't you save me? And God's like, you mean the helicopter I sent or the wakeboard that I sent or whatever it was, right? But it wasn't in his narrow view, it wasn't what he thought should have come to him to save him. So catch yourself if you start doing this. So there's a whole lot that I've just dropped on you in the last 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So let's bring it all home. If we think about polarity, polarity reminds us that the solution is always here. It's right next to the challenge. We just have to shift our gaze. Sometimes I'll take my glasses off for those of you watching YouTube, you see that, and put them back on as a physical reminder that I just have to shift my perspective. And then the law of non-resistance teaches us to let go of the fight and be open to what's already trying to emerge. So I will say the most powerful leaders I know are the ones who live by these laws, who don't make things harder than they need to be, and who trust the unfolding while staying in motion. And that's really what I want for you too. So if today's episode stirred something in you, share it, please, because I want more and more people to experience freedom. And if you're recognizing that you've been trying to figure it all out before allowing yourself to say yes to the next step, then let this be your invitation. I mentioned earlier this retreat called Cast Your Vision happening October 23rd through the 26th in Sandpoint, Idaho. And it's not just about planning or dreaming, it's about really stepping into alignment. It's about learning how to use these laws to create real movement in your life, your leadership, and your business. It's about dropping the resistance and finally saying yes to this next version of you. We'll be mapping out vision, dissolving resistance, practicing these laws in real time, and holding space for your lit up life to become more than a concept. It becomes your reality. So if this speaks to you, reach out to me personally, DM me, email me, whatever you need to do. Go out to the website, look under programs, the Cast Your Vision retreat. And if you're not sure, let's hop on an AHA call. You can find that on my website too. We'll talk about what you want, what's in the way, and whether this retreat or something else I offer might be the container to get you there. So I will say to you, the time to say yes to your own clarity is now. When you're feeling like you're unsure, you're feeling chaos, it's time to say yes to clarity. It's the opposite of confusion, and it's here, it's waiting, and I'd love to walk beside you as you claim it. So until next time, lead your life on purpose and with love. See you next time. That's a wrap for this conversation. I'm so glad you've joined us. Remember to subscribe to the podcast so you can catch all of our future episodes, and visit us at thelituplife.com for details on how you can become part of the Lit Up Life community. A quick shout out to my friend Jackie Wilson and her friends, the creators of our amazing theme music. Thanks so much for allowing us to share this perfect song with our listeners. Looking forward to having you listen in to our next episode.
See the